What's up, basketball fans? On today's show, I'm breaking down 10 players that I think could be traded before the NBA trade deadline in 2021. And we're starting off with the one that everybody knows about, James Harden of the Houston Rockets. It's pretty obvious. You know I had to include him here because he's still being discussed in trade conversations, and he wants to be on the move. And if a player wants to move, you know what? He's probably going to get moved, and probably to one of the 4 teams that he has requested a trade to. The first team that we knew about was the Brooklyn Nets, where he said he wants to go play with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. But Philadelphia, Milwaukee, and Miami are also in the mix. Interesting to me that he wants to end up in the Eastern Conference. Probably because it's a little bit of an Eastern Conference to actually win in. But James Harden, I think he's going to be on the move sooner rather than later. I wouldn't expect him to stay on the Rockets much longer than past when the calendar flips to 2021. But what do you guys think? Will the Rockets move him before 2021, or will he be moved after? Let me know in the comment section. Type your Y for yes, or type your N for no if you don't think that's going to happen. One guy that hasn't been discussed in many trade rumors during the offseason is Zach Lavine. And I think Zach Lavine might be ready to move on from Chicago this season because the Bulls just don't win. They're not in a winning situation. They are still rebuilding. And if you're the best player on a bad team, you usually don't want to stay there very long. And so I like Zach Lavine, but my only question with him is he willing to take a step back from being that go-to guy in order to win more? If he is, I think he could get traded. Victor Oladipo is a guy who's going to be a free agent in 2021. We know that he has requested a trade in the past, but now all of a sudden he says he's committed to Indiana. Well, I think he's saying he's committed to Indiana because he knows that he's about to get traded. Now, Oladipo has not looked good in the preseason, but you look back at the last 4 years, and you got to remember, these 2 years, he was an all-star, and he was an all-star for a reason. Now, he's obviously suffered a pretty major injury, and he still hasn't fully recovered from that, which I think is a little bit scary for teams. But at the end of the day, if you're going to be a free agent in 2021, and your team thinks you're not going to get anything back for you, and he's just going to leave, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he does end up getting dealt. I think he will be on the move before the deadline this season. Now, I want you guys to make a prediction for me and let me know who you think will be the best player traded during this season. And I think the obvious answer is James Harden. So maybe go out on a limb and let me know if somebody else you think could get moved during the regular season that is actually a top-notch player. Maybe like a Victor Oladipo. Maybe like a Zach Lavine. Or maybe like this next player, Andre Drummond of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, my problem with Drummond, and I've kind of always been a hater on him, but at the end of the day, he gets a lot of rebounds. He blocks a lot of shots. He finishes a lot of shots around the rim. But he's never been on a team that consistently wins games. And when you've consistently been that good and put up that big of numbers, but you've consistently been on bad teams, there is a bigger problem somewhere in the mix. So I think Cleveland will say, hey, we don't want to pay this guy $28 million anymore. We're ready to trade him. He's an expiring deal. We'd rather have draft picks at this point. And I think he could get moved. I think he's a great player. And I think in the right situation, he could help a team. But he hasn't been in the right situation. He's been in Detroit, and he's been in Cleveland. Those are 2 places where players don't really win a lot of games. So I think he needs to get moved somewhere where he can be that 3rd or maybe an even 4th option on another team. Now let's go to Bradley Beal. And I talked more to my buddy Harrison Graham about this one. He says I have to throw him on the show because things could go south with Westbrook, and if that's the case, he will demand a trade. But personally, I think Bradley Beal is going to stay in Washington. I think he has seen what Giannis Antetokounmpo did in Milwaukee. I think he saw, what Dirk did in Dallas, what Steph is doing in Golden State. And he's saying, hey, I'm going to stick it out in the tough years, and I'm going to stay committed. So I'm putting him on there because I do think there's a chance that he and Westbrook don't mesh well, and maybe that means he demands a trade. But at the end of the day, I'm thinking he's going to stay committed to D.C. and try to win one in Washington. Now, if any of these players or anybody else does end up getting traded, we're going to have it all broken down for you here on Chat Sports. So make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so that whenever a video gets posted or whenever we go live when a major trade happens, you will get a notification. YouTube.com/ChatSportsTV. All the best coverage all the time on everything basketball. Now let's talk about Rudy Gobert. And he hasn't really popped up in trade rumors quite yet, but I think it's coming pretty soon because he just turned down a max extension from the Utah Jazz. He is eligible for a supermax contract, but Utah is not ready to pay him that much. And that means he could become a free agent in 2021. And if he does become a free agent in 2021, well, guess what? He could leave and the Utah Jazz get absolutely nothing for him. So I think there's a small chance that Utah says, look, you're great, okay? Great player. We don't want to pay you the Supermax. We're going to give you up, and we're going to get draft picks back before you just decide to walk away for nothing in free agency. And I think that'd be a smart move by Utah. Now, if he says, listen, I'll take less than the Supermax, don't pay me that much money, and he takes less, great. Give him his money and keep him on the team because he's still an all-star and all-NBA caliber defender. Now, one guy that I think could get moved as well is Andrew Wiggins. And the reason for this is simply because his contract's too big and he's still young. And when you're 25 years old on a team that is looking to continue to build toward a championship, you have the opportunity, or that team has the opportunity, to get assets back for you. Now, 3 years, $95 million left on his contract. It's going to make him a little harder to move. But when you think about what Wiggins can do on the court and give you 20 a game, plus he's only 25 years old, I think a younger team that's actually looking to hit restart would be valuing Wiggins a little bit more than maybe Golden State does. Now, I expected them to move him during the offseason, but that just never happened, and they held on to him. So maybe that means, look, he's a Warrior for life. And if I'm the Warriors, I think it makes sense to kind of continue to groom him because I think him next to Steph Curry and in a chance where he can actually thrive, I think it makes sense if you're Golden State. I did want to tell you about this deal about Fanatics before I break down a couple more players that could get traded. Chatsports.com/NBA mask. These masks right now are up to 70% off, but only for a limited time when you go to chatsports.com/NBA mask. So go check them out today. When you click on that link, not only helps out our friends at Fanatics, but also helps us out here at Chat Sports. Chatsports.com/NBA mask. Any team, any style, and you can get packs of 1, 2, 3, or 4, all at that link that you see below me, chatsports.com/NBA mask. You got to wear one every day, so you might as well get one that you like to wear. Let's go to Kevin Love, who has basically been on the trade block since, I don't know, I was like 15 years old. But he's back on the trade block at this point. And look, he's still a good player. That's my thing. He is still a very, very good player. But he's making 3 years. He has a 3-year, $92 million contract. That is too much, and he can't stay healthy. And if you can't stay healthy in today's NBA, you're not worth that much money. And that's just the fact of the matter. So, sorry, but it's going to be hard to trade him, but I think they'll do everything they can to try to trade him. And honestly, the reason it's going to be so hard is because I think he has the worst contract in the NBA right now. Now, let me know what you guys think. Maybe it is Kevin Love. Maybe it's Gordon Hayward. Maybe it's a different player. But who has the worst contract in the NBA right now? Let me know in the comment section, or if you're watching live with us on our channel in the live chat. I'm going to go with Kevin Love, but I could hear a couple more arguments. Let's go to another Indiana Pacer, Myles Turner. Now, I talked about Oladipo earlier, but Myles Turner, in all reality, Indiana's been trying to trade him for a while. They don't like his fit next to Domantas Sabonis, and he's been great in the preseason, or I guess in the only preseason game that he's played. But Indiana is okay with letting him walk away if that means they get to hold on to Sabonis a little bit longer. So I think Myles Turner could be on the move this year. He's a young player that knows how to stretch the floor and knows how to protect the rim as well. And when you can do both of those things, you're still a valuable player in today's NBA. I wouldn't really be surprised if Myles Turner's on the move. But this next guy that we're going to talk about is kind of a controversial one. Kind of one that they don't even want to trade right now. Daryl Morey has said they're not looking to trade Ben Simmons. But at the end of the day, if an offer comes around that is just too good to pass up and he and Joel Embiid are not meshing, Ben Simmons will get traded before the deadline. Defensively, he's incredible. Finishing at the rim, he is elite. He doesn't have a jump shot, and he's not very versatile when it comes to playing multiple positions in the NBA, because if he's not handling the ball, he's kind of useless. So Ben Simmons could definitely be on the move. But if you had to pick one, just one of the two, which one are you going to start building a team around? Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid? Let me know in the comment section, or if you're watching live with me in the live chat.